The Nintendo Entertainment System was released in North America in 1985 and lasted 10 years. Now that is quite a lifespan for a system. It revolutionized and revitalized the home video game market and firmly put Nintendo on American soil. To follow up, they released the Super Nintendo in 1991 as an answer to the growing popularity of the Sega Genesis. The 16-bit era was finally here, but some gamers still preferred the cheaper NES. So in October of 1993, Nintendo released the NES-2, Model 101, most commonly referred to as a top loader. It was created primarily to reduce manufacturing costs. It was designed by Lance Barr, who designed both the original Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Barr stated, "The boxy look was out, and I thought it was time for a more sleek and inviting look." And Barr was definitely right. It looks very similar to the Japanese version, the AV Famicom. Comparing it to the old model, the NES-2 was much smaller and much lighter. The power button was also changed to resemble the Super Nintendo, in which you simply have to press the button up to turn it on. The system had 2 controller ports, just like the original, and all the old peripherals, such as the zapper gun, worked on the system as well. The controller, however, took a new design. It was given rounded edges, very similar to the Super Nintendo again, and it's usually referred to as a dog bone controller. The greatest improvement is that the games load on the top now. Remember blowing into the cartridge, catching the game on the edge, pushing down repeatedly only to have that blinking light? This was due to a design flaw in the original NES, where when you pushed the game down, the pins that held the game would bend. This would cause the contacts not to read. The NES-2 did not have this problem, and the games were firmly seated on top. The NES-2 also lacked an authentication chip. Nintendo removed this to eliminate the blinking red light issue. This lets you play unlicensed games and games from Europe. So this sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it does have some flaws. There's no composite cable hookup on the NES-2, so you can only hook it up with an RF connection. There's also a noticeable quality difference when playing a game on the system. Some systems, including mine, have an issue where faint vertical lines can be seen on the screen. The Game Genie also had issues because it doesn't fit in the cartridge port. Nintendo unsuccessfully tried to sue Galoob, who made the Game Genie, so this was probably Nintendo's way of fighting back. To compensate, Galoob would mail you an adapter to fix this issue. Overall, the NES-2 is a pretty solid system, mostly because the games work every time. It was only produced for about a year, however, so they're a bit harder to find than a standard NES. They're worth about $75. There's also a version with AV out. Some customers complained about the degraded quality and vertical line issue, so Nintendo replaced their system with an AV out version. These are considered extremely rare, so good luck. That's all for this episode of The Gaming Historian. Thanks for watching.